here. Guess I gotta talk about the events of this past weekend. It's almost Monday now. I'm on the road. It's interesting to me. I'll talk about some of the companies that have spoken out against Trump's, I think, correct immigration laws that he recently passed by executive order on Friday. What's interesting is, let's go through the companies. Let's go through Starbucks. Starbucks, I don't have much love for Starbucks. They overcharge for coffee and they get people addicted to a product that pretty much has no caloric use at all. My main beef with Starbucks is this. It's not that I don't like Starbucks products. There's been a great surge for the last several years for people like Michael Bloomberg to have a soft drink tax, to essentially tax sodas. What that effectively is a tax on poor people. Poor people are the ones who drink sodas. The tax would never affect something highly caloric, like let's say a latte or mocha at Starbucks. It has more calories than soda oftentimes. Those things wouldn't be affected, but we're going to, tax the soft drinks. So, rich people wouldn't be affected by the soft drink tax per se, but the poor people would be. It's a tax on being poor, and I think that's kind of bullshit, just like I think cigarette taxes are bullshit, because who smokes? Poor people. It's a tax on poor people. What kind of bothers me about the Starbucks, and they recently said we're going to hire 10,000 refugees. Starbucks currently bans nonviolent felons from being hired at Starbucks as baristas. And I guess my main question is, there are over 70 million people in America with criminal records. You've essentially banned a great many Americans from employment at Starbucks, but you're willing to let in 10,000 people to be employees at Starbucks who haven't been vetted. We don't know what they've done. They're coming from countries where genital mutilation is common, pouring acid on your wife if she doesn't obey you, a whole host of things. Oh, throwing gays off buildings. Whatever. We'll let those people work at Starbucks, but God forbid we let a nonviolent felon work at Starbucks. And you'll notice that on your work application at Starbucks, you'll see there's a spot to state whether you have a criminal record or not, if you ever question whether I'm telling you the truth on that. So that's my problem with that. You basically want to hire a bunch of foreigners who don't probably speak English, coming from countries that don't have the same Judeo-Christian values as America. You're going to hire them. God forbid you hire a felon or a non-violent felon or anyone else trying to get a second chance. We can't have that. God forbid that. So that's the first company. The second company is Lyft. Lyft, same thing. They'll hire foreigners, anyone who come from countries we don't know their background. They'll hire illegal aliens. Don't know anything about these people. As long as they have insurance on a car and own a car, let them drive you around. They don't care. Lyft doesn't care if you're an illegal alien. They don't need to know your background. If you came from Central America, Mexico, you could be a murderer. Lyft will hire you. Who won't they hire? Nonviolent felons from America. They won't hire them at all. So Lyft, again, banning 70 million people around the country from being Lyft drivers, doesn't seem to have a problem with that. But boy, they want to get as many freaking refugees and illegal aliens hired on Lyft as they can. We don't know who these people are. We don't know their background. They could be freaking complete scumbags. We don't know. Lyft is okay with that. And by the way, don't hire a Lyft driver. Don't use Lyft ever. Ban Lyft. Okay, the other companies. Different reasons here. We got companies like Apple, the alphabet company, Google, whatever they like to call themselves, don't really give a shit. All these companies that are in, Silicon Valley, who have used and abused the H-1B visa program for decades. We as a country, of course, essentially ensure that we don't produce a lot of our own software engineers, although we do produce a lot through the schooling programs that we have that don't emphasize that. And the college programs that do have essentially emphasize a get them out quickly rate, making the courses harder in the front and easier on the back, as opposed to foreign countries. So what happens? Well, people don't go to college and they don't want to get Fs, so they get out of that thing. But in foreign countries, they're a lot easier on their students, and so they become engineers. So now we got to hire these people from foreign countries, when in reality, there are plenty of Americans who will do the work. All three of those companies I mentioned, Apple, Google, Microsoft, they all effectively ban felons too. So if you're a nonviolent felon, you really can't work for any of those companies. But they'll take a refugee from Sudan or Syria or wherever, Iran, they'll take them. Now, here's the funny part. The funny part about all this is they're worried about their company while they take all these people from the foreign countries. They pay them like slaves, basically, make them work super long hours, don't pay them shit. Why? Because it's better for the bottom line. They don't want to hire Americans. God forbid they hire any Americans. They have to pay them more. Disney, one of the companies, obviously we support diversity, let the refugees in, fired hundreds of workers to replace them with H-1B visa people from India. They fired Americans, hired Indian workers. This is not disputed by Disney at all. I'm almost proud of it. I really have no sympathy for these companies. These companies, in my view, are the scum of the earth. And it's unfortunate that they've decided that they want to essentially promote the enslavement of people from other countries, including countries where there might be from refugees. There really shouldn't be anyone working at Google, Apple, Microsoft, who's a refugee from Syria. That makes no sense. So, I guess my point is, the events of this past weekend are very illustrative of the fact that many of the people protesting, maybe from the United Kingdom, we heard from the Mayor of London, we heard from Theresa May, how wrong Trump's actions are. Of course, these are countries that effectively probably wouldn't let these refugees in, which I find hilarious. Canada's Prime Minister said, oh, let the refugees in. The unvetted refugees. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what they've done. We let them in. They could be murderers. They could be scumbags. Probably a lot of that. We don't care. Bring them in. But Canada and the United Kingdom banned Martha Stewart from entering their country. They banned Snoop Dogg from entering their country. So they view Martha Stewart as an existential threat to their borders, to their country. But unvetted refugees from Muslim countries that historically have brought us all terrorists and all sorts of problems, let them in. Does that make a lot of sense? We ban Martha Stewart, but we're going to let in all these people that want to kill us. That is beyond stupid. It's beyond ridiculous. We've essentially now, in this country, we have a bunch of people that seem to be okay with banning and freezing out 70 million workers in this country who have criminal records, who have been rehabilitated in the workforce, out of prison. But we want them banned, But it's okay because we're going to have these refugees come in. We can't find workers, but you've essentially banned 70 million workers right off the bat before you even get started. I hear the same thing every time. Oh, we can't find workers. You banned 70 million workers from working for you before you even start. So, here's my point. Take it for what it is.